So I made a video talking about why Piccolo was the most underrated Dragon Ball character, and someone actually commented back saying, no, you're wrong. Tien is the most underrated character in Dragon Ball. And you know what, after looking into it and doing some deep meditation, doing some introspective work, I came to the opening my third eye, I came to the conclusion that he's right. Tien is actually really underrated. I want to talk about that today because he is definitely a unique character. And let's start from the beginning. His introduction was in Dragon Ball, and back then Tien wasn't just another fighter because he was a bona fide rival to Goku. He was trained by the Crane School. He was this perfect counter to Goku's Turtle School techniques. Their clash in the 22nd World Martial Arts Tournament was the most iconic, intense, animated fights in the series. Definitely one of the top 10. And what makes Tien special in his early character arc is he starts off as this villain, a bit cocky and ruthless and determined to prove that the Crane School's superiority over any other and Goku's style. But his fight with Goku changes everything, because through the battle Tien realizes that strength isn't about dominance, it's about self-improvement and honor. And this marks one of the first major redemption arcs in the series itself. How can you not love that in a character? He's a true martial artist. This true spiritual martial combination. So fast forward to Dragon Ball Z, Tien continues to prove his worth as definitely one of the most Earth's reliable defenders. And while other characters fall behind or even fade into the background, Tien consistently keeps stepping up even when the odds are so stacked against him. For example, the Saiyan saga, Tien loses Chaozu, his best friend, to Nappa's brutal attack, but he doesn't back down. His final stand against Nappa, he pours every ounce of his energy into that one last attack. He is a hero, a real hero. Then you got the Android saga, Tien's shining moment when he single-handedly holds off semi-perfect Cell using his Neo Tri-Beam. Just think about that for a second. Cell was leagues ahead of everyone else, the Saiyans, everyone. But Tien, with his sheer determination and willpower, just kept him at bay. What a legend. Look, he didn't win, but he's a real warrior. So one of the reasons why I think he's underrated is because he doesn't actually chase the spotlight. Unlike characters like Goku, Vegeta, Tien doesn't actually care about being the strongest or achieving godlike power. For him, martial arts is spiritual. It's a religion. It's a way of life, not a means to an end. So even when the series shifts, focuses to the Saiyan power levels and transformation, Tien kind of quietly keeps training. He doesn't let himself get discouraged by the fact that he can't keep up with Goku and Vegeta. Instead, he focuses on mastering himself, his own techniques, just himself. He doesn't really look around. And his discipline, he just lives in isolation. He dedicates his life to I would call it his religion. His martial arts has become his religion. There's no shortcuts, there's no distraction, just pure effort. And in a series where characters often rely on just power-ups and power-ups and power-ups, Tien is just grounded. And it's refreshing, to be honest. And I think his techniques are pretty flipping cool, to be honest. You've got the Neo Tri-Beam, Solar Flare. I think they're pretty cool and pretty iconic. They're not just flashy, they're actually really strategic. For example, the Tri-Beam, it sacrifices Tien's own life energy to exponentially increase its power. So it's not a move to use lightly, but Tien still, has no hesitation to do it when the situation demands. So he's definitely quite selfless, and again, there's this spirituality that we see in him in this aspect. So why doesn't he get the recognition? Part of it is because the series obviously gravitates towards the Saiyans. They're the main characters, and once transformations like Super Saiyans are introduced, the non-Saiyan characters like Krillin, Tien, Yamcha were kind of sidelined, to be honest. But here's the thing, Tien never stopped being relevant. Sure, he might be one of the ones, he might not be one of the ones to save the universe, but when it matters, he is there, he shows up. He's the guy who always gives it his all and fights with everything he got, even when he knows he's outmatched and he's definitely going to get killed. The kind of grit and determination of what Tien makes one of the most, it's that kind of grit that makes him inspiring, that I like him. And I don't think anyone dislikes him, come on. No one dislikes him. Even Akira Toriyama said himself that he has a lot of respect for Tien as a character, because in his interviews he said that Tien represents more of a traditional martial artist compared to Goku and Vegeta, because whilst they chase ultimate power, Tien embodies the purity of martial arts, a fighter who trains for the sake of training. Again, it's like a religion, like I've said. And this is why he doesn't get as much screen time. His story is less about the big flashy moments. But that's why I think the guy who commented this, I think he's right. I think we need to show him a bit more love and a bit more respect. So Tien, I think officially you hold the title as the most underrated character in Dragon Ball Z.